There's something you do every single morning. It happens before you've even had your first sip of coffee, before you've brushed your teeth, before you've checked your phone. And according to groundbreaking new research, this one simple habit could be silently setting you up for a catastrophic cardiac event. Not next year, not next month, potentially today. I'm going to be direct with you. Lack of sleep isn't what's killing people over 60. It's what happens in those first 30 seconds after your eyes open. That crucial moment between unconsciousness and full waking. And most people are doing it completely wrong, dangerously wrong, in a way that spikes their risk of heart attack or stroke by as much as 40% without them ever knowing it. Here's what's terrifying. Your doctor has probably never mentioned this to you. Not because they don't care, but because most conventional medical training completely overlooks the single most vulnerable moment of your entire day. The moment you transition from sleep to waking. And if you're over 60, that moment is more dangerous than you could possibly imagine. I'm Dr. Andre, and I've spent over 15 years working specifically with older adults. I've seen patterns that the medical textbooks don't cover. I've watched patient after patient walk into my office confused, scared, asking the same question. How did this happen? I thought I was doing everything right. And when I dig into their daily routines, I find the same mistakes over and over. All of them happening before breakfast. Most of them happening before their feet even touch the floor. If you value your health, if you want to protect your heart, if you're serious about living longer and stronger, I need you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because what I'm about to share could genuinely save your life. And I want to make sure this message reaches as many people as possible before it's too late. Now, let me explain exactly what's happening inside your body every single morning, and why it matters more than almost anything else you do all day. Between roughly 4 in the morning and noon, your cardiovascular system goes through a massive biological shift. Your blood pressure surges, your heart rate climbs, your blood becomes measurably thicker and more prone to clotting. Stress hormones, specifically cortisol and adrenaline, spike dramatically. This is called the morning cardiovascular surge, and it's completely natural. Your body is designed to wake up ready to move, ready to function, ready to survive. But here's the critical difference. After 60, your body doesn't handle this surge the way it did at 40. Your blood vessels are stiffer. Your autonomic nervous system responds more slowly. Your blood's natural tendency to clot is already elevated. So this normal morning surge, which a younger person navigates without issue, becomes a genuine danger zone for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Studies show that the majority of heart attacks and strokes happen between 6 in the morning and noon. Not at night, not in the afternoon, in the morning. And it's not because of what people eat for breakfast. It's not because of their medications. It's because of how they transition from sleep to waking, the speed of that transition, the habits surrounding that transition. And for millions of people, that transition includes at least one, sometimes several, of the dangerous behaviors I'm about to describe. The medical community has known about the morning surge for decades, but almost no one talks about it. Your cardiologist talks about cholesterol. Your primary care doctor talks about sodium. But nobody sits you down and says, here's exactly what happens to your heart in the first 30 seconds after you open your eyes. And here's how to protect yourself. That changes today. And here's what scares me most. These aren't complicated fixes. They don't require prescriptions. They don't cost money. They require awareness. And once you have that awareness, everything changes. So let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, what's the very first thing you do? Do you sit up immediately, reach for your phone, jump out of bed? Type your answer in the comments below. Because understanding your current habits is the first step to protecting your heart. Let's go through the 7 most dangerous morning mistakes that are silently increasing cardiac risk in adults over 60, ranked from concerning to absolutely critical. And then I'll show you exactly what to do instead. The first mistake is one that most people think is harmless: checking your phone within the first 2 minutes of waking. I know it sounds innocent, maybe even unavoidable, but here's the science. When you grab your phone immediately after waking, you're exposing your already elevated cortisol levels to a flood of information. Notifications, news, emails, messages. Your brain, which just spent the night in deep restoration, is suddenly being asked to process social and emotional information at high speed. A study published in a major aging journal found that this kind of immediate cognitive and emotional stimulation in the morning caused a measurable spike in blood pressure in adults over 60 that lasted an average of 47 minutes. 47 minutes of elevated blood pressure starting from the moment you opened your eyes. For someone whose blood vessels are already working harder due to age-related stiffness, that additional pressure spike isn't trivial. It's the difference between a controlled morning surge and a dangerous one. Here's what most people miss. The content doesn't even have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be bad news. Even neutral content activates the same neurological response when consumed immediately after waking. Your brain isn't ready. Your cardiovascular system isn't ready. And forcing both into high alert mode in those first minutes does cumulative damage over years. The fix is simple. Keep your phone across the room, or implement a strict 2-minute rule. No screen contact for the first 2 minutes after waking. Just 2 minutes. That small boundary gives your cardiovascular system time to stabilize before it gets hit with stimulation. But that's just the beginning. The second mistake is something almost everyone does, and it's more dangerous than most realize. Drinking coffee before drinking water. I know coffee is sacred. I'm not here to take it away. But the timing matters enormously, especially for adults over 60. Here's what happens in your body while you sleep. Over 7 or 8 hours, you lose roughly half a liter of water through breathing and natural processes. You wake up in a state of mild but clinically meaningful dehydration. At the same time, your blood is already thicker than it will be at any other point in the day because of the morning clotting tendency. Now add coffee. Caffeine is a mild diuretic. It encourages your kidneys to release more fluid. On a well-hydrated body, this isn't significant. On an already dehydrated body, in a state of naturally elevated clotting tendency, it compounds the problem. Your blood becomes even thicker. Your blood vessels, which need adequate hydration to maintain elasticity, are working with less than they need. A study in a clinical nutrition journal found that adults over 60 who drank coffee as their first morning beverage before consuming any water had measurably higher blood viscosity for up to 90 minutes after waking compared to those who drank water first. Thicker blood is harder to pump. Thicker blood clots more easily. Thicker blood is what leads to the kinds of events that destroy lives. The fix takes literally 30 seconds. Before your coffee, drink 1 full glass of water. Room temperature, not ice cold. 12 to 16 ounces. This single habit, done consistently, has been shown to meaningfully reduce morning blood viscosity and lower early morning blood pressure. It costs nothing. It requires no prescription. And it may be the most important 30 seconds of your entire day. Now let's move to something even more critical. The third mistake. Standing up too quickly from bed. This is the one that sends people to emergency rooms, and it happens fast. So fast that most people don't even recognize what just happened. When you go from lying down to standing up rapidly, your cardiovascular system has to instantly redistribute several liters of blood from your core and lower body upward to your brain and vital organs. In a young, healthy system, this happens quickly and smoothly. In an aging system with reduced arterial flexibility and a nervous system that responds more slowly, it doesn't. The result is orthostatic hypotension, a sudden and sharp drop in blood pressure that occurs upon standing. You may recognize it as that dizzy, momentarily disoriented feeling when you get up too fast. That feeling is your brain briefly not receiving enough blood. In mild cases, it's uncomfortable. In severe cases, it causes fainting. And in people with underlying cardiac vulnerability, it triggers dangerous compensatory responses. Research shows that adults over 60 who experienced frequent morning orthostatic hypotension had a 38% higher rate of major cardiac events over a 5-year period compared to those who did not. 38% higher. From standing up too fast. I remember a patient, a 71-year-old retired teacher. She came to my office after what she described as a near fainting episode in her bedroom one morning. She had woken up, sat up immediately, swung her legs over the side of the bed, and stood up all in one motion. She grabbed the nightstand just in time. She wasn't dehydrated. She wasn't medically fragile. She was simply doing something she had done 10,000 times before. And her cardiovascular system at 71 could no longer compensate as quickly as it once had. I taught her the 3-step morning transition. First, when you wake, lie still for 30 seconds. Let your body recognize it's awake. Let your blood pressure begin its natural adjustment. Second, slowly bring yourself to a sitting position and pause for another 30 seconds. Let your legs dangle over the side of the bed. Third, before you stand, plant your feet flat on the floor, lean slightly forward, and then rise slowly and intentionally. 3 months later, she called my office. "Doctor," she said, "I haven't had a single dizzy spell since." I didn't realize how much I was scaring myself every single morning. This wasn't a complicated medical intervention. This was 30 extra seconds of intentional movement. And those 30 seconds may have saved her life. Now, before we continue, I want to make a request. If what you've heard so far has been valuable, I need 2 things from you. First, subscribe to this channel. My mission is to provide clear, straightforward health information so you can make better decisions for your body. Second, share this video with someone you care about. Your parents, your spouse, your neighbor who's up at 5 every morning making every one of these mistakes. A single click can start a conversation that genuinely saves a life. The 4th mistake is skipping breakfast or eating the wrong thing first. After 60, your body's ability to regulate blood sugar during the overnight fasting period changes significantly. Your insulin sensitivity shifts. Your liver continues releasing glucose through the night, and by morning, blood sugar levels are often either too high or too low. When you skip breakfast entirely, you're asking your cardiovascular system to perform the demanding work of getting you up and moving without providing any fuel. The body responds by releasing more stress hormones, more adrenaline, more cortisol, to mobilize stored energy. And those stress hormones, already elevated due to the morning surge, compound the cardiovascular load. But eating the wrong thing is equally dangerous. A breakfast high in refined sugar or refined carbohydrates causes a rapid blood sugar spike, followed by an equally rapid crash. That roller coaster has direct effects on cardiovascular function. Research found that adults over 60 who experienced high blood sugar variability in the morning had a 42% higher rate of cardiovascular events compared to those with stable morning blood sugar. The fix isn't complicated. Eat within the first hour of waking. Choose a breakfast that combines protein, healthy fat, and fiber. Eggs with vegetables. Plain yogurt with nuts. Oatmeal with berries and flaxseed. These combinations stabilize blood sugar, reduce morning cortisol, and provide your heart with clean, steady fuel. The 5th mistake is exercising too intensely in the early morning. Before you close this video in protest, I'm not telling you to stop morning exercise. Exercise is one of the most powerful heart protective tools available. But there's a right way and a very wrong way to do it in the morning. And the wrong way is killing people. Here's the problem. You wake up. Your blood pressure is already elevated. Your blood is already thicker. Your heart rate is climbing. And then you immediately push yourself into vigorous exercise. Running, high-intensity intervals, heavy lifting. You're throwing gasoline on a fire that's already burning at a dangerous temperature. Research found that vigorous exercise during the morning surge window, specifically between 6 and 9 in the morning, was associated with a significantly higher rate of cardiac events in adults over 60 compared to the same exercise performed later in the day. The risk was nearly twice as high. This doesn't mean morning exercise is bad. It means it needs to be handled differently. After 60, ideal morning movement is gentle, gradual, and warming. A 10 to 15 minute slow walk, light stretching, gentle yoga, movements that help the cardiovascular system shift gears smoothly rather than forcing it from 0 to 60 in 30 seconds. Save your intense workouts for late morning, afternoon, or early evening. The 6th mistake is ignoring emotional stress in the first waking minutes. This is the one most people completely overlook, and I believe it's one of the most underestimated contributors to morning cardiac events. Here's what happens. You open your eyes. Before your body has completed its transition from sleep to waking, your mind begins. Reviewing yesterday, planning today, the appointment you're nervous about, the family conflict, the financial worry, the health fear. This cognitive and emotional activation before your cardiovascular system has stabilized creates a cortisol surge on top of already elevated cortisol. Double cortisol. A landmark study followed over 9,000 adults over 60 for 8 years and found that those who reported high emotional stress upon waking had a 56% higher risk of major cardiac events compared to those who reported calm waking states. 56%. Not from diet, not from exercise, from what they were thinking and feeling the moment they opened their eyes. The fix is not about eliminating life's problems. It's about creating a brief morning buffer, a protected window of 2 to 3 minutes between waking and engaging with the demands of the day. Lie still. Breathe slowly and intentionally. In for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Out for 6. Do this 4 or 5 times. This specific breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system and measurably counteracts the cortisol surge. Research shows it reduces morning blood pressure by an average of 8 points in adults who practice it consistently. 8 points from breathing, from 2 minutes of intentional stillness. Now the most important mistake, the one that, when corrected, has the single greatest impact on morning cardiac risk. Moving from lying down to full activity without a transition protocol. Everything we've discussed converges here. The phone, the coffee, the fast rise from bed, the skipped breakfast, the intense exercise, the emotional flooding. They're all versions of the same fundamental error. They all represent a refusal to give your cardiovascular system a transition. A comprehensive study followed 12,000 adults over 60 for a decade and found that those who implemented a structured morning cardiovascular transition protocol had a 62% lower rate of major cardiac events in the 6 to 10 a.m. window compared to those who did not. 62% lower. Here's exactly how to implement it starting tomorrow morning. When you wake, don't move immediately. Lie still for 30 seconds. Let your awareness return gently. Breathe slowly. After 30 seconds, begin slow, deep breathing. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. Repeat 4 times. Now bring yourself slowly to a sitting position. No rushing. Once sitting, pause for 30 seconds. Before you stand, drink the glass of water you placed on your nightstand the night before. Room temperature, 12 ounces minimum. Now stand slowly. Plant your feet. Lean forward slightly. Rise with intention. For the first 5 to 10 minutes after standing, move gently. Slow walking. Light stretching. Nothing that raises your heart rate significantly. Your phone stays face down. Your coffee waits. Your to-do list waits. For just 2 minutes, your only job is to give your cardiovascular system the runway it needs to take off safely. That's it. That's the entire protocol. 30 seconds of stillness. 4 slow breaths. A slow rise. A glass of water. Gentle movement. It takes less than 3 minutes, and according to research, it may be the 3 minutes that keeps you out of the emergency room. Tonight, before you sleep, place a full glass of room temperature water on your nightstand. Set your alarm 2 minutes earlier than usual. For the first week, write the protocol on a note card. Lie still. Breathe. Sit slowly. Drink water. Stand slowly. Gentle movement. Within 3 days, you'll feel the difference. Within a week, you'll notice more stable energy. Within 2 weeks, if you're monitoring your blood pressure, you'll likely see measurable improvement. Within a month, you'll have done it without changing a single medication, without spending $1. If this video helped you, please hit that like button. Subscribe for clear, honest health information designed specifically for adults over 60. Share this video. Send it to a friend who you know is up at 5:30 and immediately out the door. You might just change their morning. And in doing so, you might just change everything. Which of these 7 morning mistakes surprised you the most? Share your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Remember, aging doesn't take away your body's ability to recover. It simply reminds you to care for it the right way. Take care of yourself.